What is going on, guys? I'm James,
And I'm Travis.
and this is the Monday Coffee Show. Today we're going to be talking to you about Netflix and its infinite possibilities.
Netflix is one of the wildest entities to have watched grow the way that it has. Just as like a real quick recap, well over like 10 years ago, you used to have to go to a physical place and you had to go find a physical copy of a movie or a TV show, whether it was on DVD or VHS, which was this like plastic thing with film in it. And you had to go to this physical place and get this physical thing and physically take it home. And then on top of that, you had to physically take it back or else you would be fined. And then Netflix came on the scene, and it was this weird thing that people thought was kind of strange, where they took out the steps where you go to a physical building and physically take it home and then have to return it. You would order a movie online and they would send it to you. You would have it for a certain amount of time, and then you would take it back. And they offered it to the biggest physical video rental store, Blockbuster. And they were like, hey, you guys want to do this? And Blockbuster went, no, that's silly. We rule the world. Why would we ever? Oh, God, the company's dead? Yes? Oh, shit. And Netflix expanded and didn't just have this DVD sending thing anymore. They have Netflix more like we know it now, where they would buy rights to shows and movies and all sorts of things, and you could just watch it at home on your computer. And then they changed the whole game again, because what they started doing was they started making original content, which I know when they started doing that, I had doubts because I didn't think that could work. And now they're making some of the best shows that exists now. Like it's amazing, just the kind of stuff that they're making. I have not remotely seen all of their stuff, but the stuff that I have seen, I've been so incredibly impressed with. Even if I don't like the show, I'm still impressed that because they make a new one. It's like every month now they're like, oh, we have a show, it's made. There was no announcement or talking about it. We just made it. Watch it. Here you go. Have a nice weekend. We'll see you on Monday. And it's amazing. Do you watch any of their Netflix original content?
The main one I'm familiar with, which a lot of people are, is Orange is the New Black, because that was one of the first ones that was an original Netflix series, and it blew up. But like you said, I did have doubts because I guess we're kind of almost conditioned in a way to think that if something isn't released mainstream, it's kind of it's independent, it might not be as high quality, or the acting may not be as good. But I mean, Orange is the New Black is better than a lot of shows that are on network television right now. Mm-hmm. And not only that, but I know they have another one that's popular, 13 Reasons Why. I haven't watched it yet. It seems like it's a little too heavy for me, so I was like, no.
I was actually trying to avoid that, and my girlfriend was watching it. And so she would be watching it, and we'd be going to bed, and she'd have it on her computer, and I would get hooked in, and I ended up just watching the last half of this show, and it was so good. But it's also oh God, it's gonna make you sad. And that's the thing, is that each show kind of has its thing where it almost has an emotion that it wants you to ride on, and then it just has you ride on that for 13 hours straight, because you're gonna binge watch it. It's going to happen.
That's not a problem, but that's my only thing. It takes discipline to get hooked onto a Netflix series because it's like you binge watch, especially Orange is the New Black, because it comes out like once a year. So it's like if you binge watch that whole season in one day, it's like you have to wait a year for the next part. So I typically wait until like, okay, season whatever is about to come out, so let me catch up or let me watch the ones I already watched to like remind myself what happened. Because I'm just honestly, I'm not going to wait a year to just watch a new season. I'm going to end up losing interest, or I'm just going to be like, I can't do this. So I typically watch an episode here and there, wait a week, watch another episode or two. Like, I treat it like it's network television.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to do it. I mean, like, you know, the length of a season was originally determined by, well, we're going to do this show every Monday, and we're going to do it for 6 months. So that's just 26 episodes. And now Netflix is like, yeah, we're going to do 26 episodes. We're going to release them all at once. If you want to just watch them all, it's fine. But that is the problem, is that we're not making new ones until next year.
Right.
Having it paced, like having a television season paced out in broadcast or in cable, the kind of viewer advantage there is like, yeah, you have to wait till next week for the episode, but you don't have to wait till next year for the new season. And so there is kind of a trade-off there. But there's just so much stuff anymore that like I'll watch through a show, and then I've still got like 18 more shows, and then maybe they'll make something new anyway. Like, but before I'm done. They've also been doing this cool new thing where they have almost taken over what Comedy Central was doing a decade ago and what HBO was doing like 20 years ago, where Netflix right now is the place to go for the stand-up comedy special. And they have a huge lineup right now of what I consider kind of some hit or miss shows. I wasn't necessarily floored by all of them. Or even if most of the show was funny, there was still so much that was really cringy that, like, that wasn't fun. Like, it still was really fun to see they had all these specials, and it's not just like, okay, here's this comedian, here's this comedian, here's this comedian. They're doing like runs. Like, they have Louis C.K., Dave Chappelle, Amy Schumer, I want to say Kevin Hart, but I could just be confusing that with they had a special of his on there. And like, they're doing this thing where like, yeah, here's this special, but also here's this special, and here's this special from these same comedians. And that's a lot of stuff. Like, considering like what goes into like creating a stand-up show, it's like writing a play.
Yeah.
Or at least like these very good ones.
Yeah. So like the last one I watched was I still haven't finished it, but Margaret Cho. I have a thing for like
I like
offensive humor, so to speak, because I'm not offended by much, so I think it's hilarious. Also like Chelsea Handler. I love Chelsea Handler. I adore her, and she has her own show on Netflix, which is actually kind of like a network television show, because it new episodes air Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays every week. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, it's set up like a network television show, and it's also like seasonal. So it's like they'll take a break, and then season 2 will be up. So I think Netflix is kind of like slowly moving into the territory of how network television has like weekly or semi-weekly shows that are posted, instead of just putting everything out at once.
Yeah. I think for stuff like that, that's cool too, because you don't have to worry about like with something like Chelsea Handler's show. She can talk about more topical stuff than you can in most Netflix shows.
Right.
Because most Netflix shows, because they film it all at once, like it's a film, and they film television like that as well for the most part. But like, they can do the thing where like, hey, we're going to talk about what happened last week. Which like we can't even necessarily do on this show all the time.
Because things happen so quickly, and things change, and it's like, oh, by the time we talk about this, something else happened that's bigger than that. So so like, I think that's cool, and that's a cool idea. I'm curious to see the first time. I wouldn't be shocked if Netflix like had their own news show, like a daily or weekly news show of like
I think it would be a little bit more like a column than anything else, than like hard news, but you can get some sort of like commentary, opinion, expertise, which is very rare these days, on these things. And I'm curious to see like what that would change, and if maybe like Hulu and Amazon and YouTube would be like, oh, well, we have to do this as well.
Yeah, that's another thing. A lot of people, I feel like Netflix is seen as like the main streaming service for like video content. But I mean, I think I don't watch the Amazon thing. I do have Amazon Prime, but I'm like, I don't ever use it because everything is either on Netflix or Hulu. So it's like, oh.
I'm sure that they send you, because I know that they send me Amazon being like, you have Prime, we have a video, so you want to watch our video service? And it's like, well.
It's like every time I buy something, they're like, oh, you also have Prime Video. I'm like, no, thank you. But,
yeah. I have appreciated Prime Video for stuff that when they have something that Hulu and Netflix don't have. And then I feel a little bit, I don't have to pirate it, especially if it's something that I'm looking up for making a video or doing a review, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I have every pretty much video streaming app. I have the HBO Go, Netflix, Hulu. I also have Xfinity, so it's like, if I want to watch something, it's going to be on one of those 4 apps. So. And
all of those things still cheaper than cable.
Yeah.
Still cheaper than cable.
And more convenient because it's like, oh, I can watch it right on my phone. I don't have to wait until I get home. I can watch it on my way home. So
it's I'm one of those cord cutting millennials. I'm one of those ones who we don't have cable in my house. My mom gave us a new TV when she moved to Seattle. It's not a new TV. It's new for me, but it was her TV, and she had a digital antenna that you can pick up broadcast with. And we plugged it in just to see what can we get. We can get our local NBC station. We get a Spanish language channel that's not Telemundo or Univision. And it's not one of those two. I'm not sure what it is. There's another foreign language channel that's not in Spanish but is in a language that I can't determine what it is. And something else. But it was really weird because I was expecting NBC, the network stuff, NBC, ABC, CBS, our local PBS station, WHYY, and Philly Cam, which is our community access channel, and the school district channel. None of that. There was none of that. And I was a little surprised at the limit of this. I mean, it's a flimsy little piece of plastic, essentially, that we don't have in a high or open place. But it was weird. It was weird watching television for the first time in a long time for me, because we don't have our TVs hooked up to anything that's not the internet. Yeah. And because I'm a cord cutting millennial and I hate most of what's on cable, because it could be so much better. And I think that Netflix is something that's helping do that. They're making really good shows. They're showing that they listen to audiences. For the most part, Netflix can work on that still. But they have forced the hand of so many other entities. Comcast offers on-demand stuff now. And that's just a standard part of the package. And they're changing that because they're realizing that's what people want, and maybe that's how you avoid piracy issues. It's just giving people access.
Yeah, convenience is key. It's people, from a consumer standpoint, a lot of people want what they want and they want it now. A lot of people are about, especially in our generation, are about instant gratification. So it's if they want to watch something, they want to be able to go, oh, I want to watch this. Where is it? It should be here. Where I'm used to, when I was growing up, I used to watch Gossip Girl a lot. Don't judge me. It's still the best show ever. So I'm used to having to wait every Monday, and if I missed the episode, it's oh shit, I missed the episode. What am I going to do now? There's no way to catch up on it. So but now with Netflix and Hulu and everything else, it's you miss an episode, it's fine because it's either on Netflix or it's on Hulu. So it's you're good.
Yeah. And it was even from a generational standpoint, my parents would talk about television events as if they were this mythic thing that only happened once and it was ephemeral and it went away. Because it did. It was recorded by those TV stations somewhere, or on whatever tape record like exists. But we like that was such a weird concept to me. Like my dad being like, "Oh, I can't like." He was like, "Oh, I saw this video that I haven't seen since I was a child." And I was like, "What were you doing?" Because when I was a kid, like we had VHS tapes and later DVDs, and now there's YouTube. You could just, if you want to watch a TV special from the 1970s, you can watch it. I watched an old episode of Family Feud last night because we were discussing the finer points of the differences between Steve Harvey as a host and Richard Dawson. Who was like the original host when the show was mostly light bulbs. Like the entire set was just light bulbs. It's fun, look it up. But like it's interesting because like I don't necessarily see it as like an instant gratification thing. I see it as a problem of access. One of the countries that pirates media the most is Russia. Because no one sends stuff to them, or if they're sending it to them, they send it 6 months later, and people are like, well, I could just, all right, well, I'm not going to pay for it in 6 months. I'm just going to watch it on a stream now. Like, it's just going to happen. And what media companies started to learn was, oh, if we make it accessible, people will pay, at the very least, like a subscription service that can pay us in rights, or they'll pay directly for it. Weird. If we give them access to it, they'll buy it. Weird.
Some will buy it because other times a lot of people are like, "Oh, what's your Netflix password?" And I'm like, "No, we're not sharing passwords. No, can't do that. Sorry."
Oh yeah, we have a Ring. I have Prime. My mom has Hulu. My sister has Netflix, and so like, and my roommate has Netflix, and like we share all the passwords, and they're all sprinkled around.
But there will literally be people that you just met who are like, "Oh, like, can I use your Netflix password?" I'm like, "This isn't normal."
Yes.
But overall, I feel like Netflix has definitely changed how not only people view video services and movies and things like that, but it's changed the entire market.
Yeah.
We went from Blockbuster and having to physically rent copies of things like movies, games, everything, and now Netflix is pretty much one of the main forces taking over the industry. And it's at a cheap price to consumers too, so it's like you're paying a small amount, but you're getting a lot of content, which is also good.
Yeah, and they're also just making good stuff. Like they're making stuff that is challenging, like the network stations or the network studios really to make better content. I don't think that a show like This Is Us would exist if it weren't for Netflix being like, no. What people don't just want like hokey drama. They want real like emotion that challenges them. And I think that show wouldn't exist if it weren't for what Netflix is doing and what Hulu is doing, and like even what some of the cable stations are doing, like AMC, because oh my God, are they making a ton of really good stuff as well? And I think it's good because I think that when you have better shows, you just have a better, like you have better choices, and people are going to choose like these really good shows, and I think that gets at like what I want to do with my career, which is to make good shows, like Monday Coffee Show right here, which you should subscribe to because
it's free.
It's free. It's good. We do, and it's every week. We do it. You just and you can binge watch. We've got like, as of like this episode, I think we got like 30 episodes now. Like you can binge it. We're bingey. Do it. But anyway, like I said, subscribe, do all the things, and most of all, enjoy your coffee.